Hey guys, welcome to this very special video here on the Passionate Few channel. I'm your host, Omar Elattar, and today I have my easel with me and I'm going to be answering a very simple question. I promise you, if you stay to the very end, not only will it be entertaining, but it will be incredibly valuable to your life. The question I'm going to be answering today is, how the heck do you meet incredible people? And I've been asked this question thousands of times from people all over the world to say, Omar, how did you go from being totally broke, lost, depressed, having no money, having no connections, to now meeting multiple billions of dollars worth of entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors, amazing people, men and women from all over the world that I've had the good fortune of sitting down, connecting with in person, whether it be for an interview or they became clients or they became friends. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you how I went from zero to connecting with almost anybody to the tune of billions with huge names, people like, billion-dollar founder of Patron Tequila and Paul Mitchell shampoo and conditioner, John Paul DeJoria, for example. So I'll give you tons of stories, tons of examples, but I just wanted to load up this intro with you because I know it'll be powerful and very useful to you. So take some notes, stay tuned, and with no further ado, I hope you really enjoy and pay attention to this, because what I'm about to show you is the #1 networking secret on the planet, whether it be for your business or your mindset with connecting with people. So with no further ado, let's get right into it.
Representing the Passionate Few podcast, Omar, the podcast rockstar, Elattar.
Omar, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, obvious you're doing good for others as well, brother.
All right, guys, so let's get right into it. What I'm about to share with you is something that I like to call a web of influence. And I'm going to teach you how you already have it, #1. #2, how you can use it more effectively. And #3, why this is actually the only networking system on the planet that truly exists in totality. So with no further ado, let's get right into it. First off, I'm going to draw a quick little circle here. And I would say, imagine in this circle, this is your web of influence. And let's put you smack dab in the middle, okay? Now, before we get into it, I want to go over what a lot of people talk about when they say networking, okay? And see, it's important, if we're going to have a bullseye, right? We want to hit a bullseye that we can see, right? We want to hit a target that we can see. So we're going to draw a bullseye, and let's say, for the sake of this video here, we're going to say that networking can simply be defined as the ability to cultivate productive relationships, okay? Again, I'm going to say it. Networking is the ability to cultivate productive relationships. Now, how productive is up to you. In what capacity is up to you. So whether it's an intimate relationship, a business relationship, a friendly relationship, whatever it is, your ability to cultivate productive relationships is directly correlated as your ability to network, okay? So let's do this. Let's get into it. So this is what I call the web of influence, okay? This is one of the most powerful tools that any human being has, and it's available at any moment in our life. And very simply, it works like this. So let's put you in the middle here of this circle. And let's say, for example, I'll give you stories in my own life, right? I wanted to connect with, let's say, Tony Robbins, right? TR. I wanted to connect with, let's say, Grant Cardone. Let's say I wanted to connect here with Ed Milet, EM. Let's say Lisa Nichols from The Secret, for example, and you feel free to use whoever you want in your world, right? Whoever you think is crazy to connect with, right? So let's say Lisa Nichols from The Secret. Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, was a huge fan of the movie, huge fan of Leonardo DiCaprio. And again, when I started, I had no connection, zero. Let's say Tom Bilyeu here, let's put TB. He's the billion-dollar founder of Quest Nutrition, him and his wife Lisa Bilyeu, Impact Theory. And for the sake of simplicity, I'll let you plug it in your own mind who these people might be. Now, it's important to realize that at any given moment in our life, we all exist somewhere in someone's radar. We exist in some sort of sphere of influence. And what most people fail to realize, and this is the biggest mistake I see most people make, they say, Omar, how did you connect with Ed Milet? Or how did you connect with this billionaire? Or this gal, or this author, whoever it is? And what I tell people is that I've actually built a system where instead of going directly from where I am to cluelessly going to big names, right? It's such a big gap, right? It's such a challenge, especially when you don't see the path. But what I've begun to do is sort of widen my scope. And here's what I mean. What I've learned is that in any one of your lives, mine included, at any point in time, we all have people in our sphere of influence, but we're not always paying attention to them. And what's interesting about this concept, and that will really help you with networking, is if you begin to see networking as more of a sort of web of influence, or I'm sure you might have heard the expression 6 degrees of separation, right? Well, check this out. It may be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, and I'll share with you how this works. So let's say, for example, in your sphere of influence, you have somebody that might be a friend, right? Or a coworker, or a colleague, or significant other, or a family member, a cousin. Maybe you have a teacher, a professor, maybe that local employee at a certain shop, right? We all have people in our radar, and we don't always necessarily heighten our conscious awareness to how connected they might be to other people. But here's the secret strategy. See, when you look at people you might want to get in touch with, and again, feel free to plug in the people that you like to connect with, right? Let's say it's a Tony Robbins, for example, right? Well, you got to understand that Tony has a lot of people in his circle, right? Tony has his own, if you will, sphere of influence, right? And he's got his own dots of people in there. Well, guess what? You can connect and marry the two because, let me give you an example. Tony Robbins has a wife. Tony Robbins has assistants. Tony Robbins has marketing people. Tony Robbins has people in his company, right? He also has family members. Let's take, for example, Grant Cardone. One of the ways I connected with him is I looked at who was in his sphere of influence. And because I connected with, let's say, one of his videographers here, I was able to build my connection with him, which then helped me build an even stronger connection with Grant. And when I would go to interview him, it would help me share content online that Grant would produce on there. Conversely, when I went to, I think it was 2015, 2014, I went to the premiere of the Tony Robbins documentary, I'm Not Your Guru. I don't know if any of you guys might have seen this, but I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Tony changed my life many years ago, not just in business and marketing, but really in my mindset. And I really wanted to connect with him, so I was so excited. I'll put a little photo up here from when I actually got to meet him. I went up to him, and there were so many people bombarding him, but I saw in the corner that his wife was actually just kind of chilling on the side. And that's when I really realized that this sphere of influence is really in effect. So I went up to his wife, and I talked to her. And I talked to the wife about loving to interview her. And because everyone was kind of bombarding Tony and not around her, I got to have a personal connection with her. And she got to be a dot in my sphere of influence, right? And then she introduced me to the assistant. And her assistant is Tony's assistant as well. And just like that, that simple handoff happened, not because I was focused on connecting with Tony Robbins, but because I'm in a state and I've learned to cultivate being in a state of openness. I'm always hyper aware that somebody in my environment could be that next person that introduces me to a new client, a new opportunity, a new person to interview, a new guest, a new friend, a new companion, a new mentor, right? The possibilities are literally endless. And so if you can kind of begin to widen your scope, and instead of thinking this outer rim, this outer parameter of people where you say, well, if I could meet them, then I would do this, or if I could find those clients, I would do that. But the reality is that all these people you would like to connect with, and I'll give you one more example, just hang on for a second, I promise you it'll be valuable. So hang on if you made it this far in the video, stay till the very end here, because I'm gonna blow your mind with what I'm about to share. But you've gotta realize that Ed Milet, or Lisa Nichols, or Jordan Belfort, who I had the good fortune of, throw up a little video here of being interviewed on his show, which was a dream come true when I wrote it down in my journal years ago. I had no clue how it would manifest, but lo and behold, by building my network, all these connections started to get stronger and stronger, and this web of influence began to build a ripple effect. Now, when you develop a reputation and you're in a state of always being open, well, now you cultivate the ability for people to want to help you, people to want to be a part of your mission, people to help you want to make intros. And instead of focusing on this outer rim, you're not focusing from a place of wanting to attract, right? Jim Rohn, one of the great teachers and philosophers, had this fantastic line. He said, "Success is not something you pursue. Success is something that you attract by the person that you become." Okay? Again, I'll say it. Success is not something you pursue. What you pursue will elude you. Success is something that you attract by the person that you become. And so the goal is to really attract opportunities, right? The goal is to have this ripple effect so that when you go out into the world, people are like, man, I really like that guy. I really like that videographer. I really like that artist. I really like that entrepreneur. I really like that guy. I really like that gal. And little by little, you start opening up opportunities. In fact, think about it. Think about your best friend. Chances are you didn't straight up walk up to them, go shake their hand and say, "Hi, I want to be your friend," right? Chances are you or your significant other met maybe through work or through colleagues or through school or through some sort of family function where they're friends of friends or friends of family or whatever it is. And so little by little, these are the ways that human beings actually connect. These are the ways that you can actually influence human beings to not only connect with you, but to attract them into your space, right? Into your circle. I'll give you one more quick story. I wanted to interview billionaire John Paul DeJoria, okay? And I kind of went out into the world, and using this philosophy I've learned, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching this and going, okay, Omar, right, this sounds really valuable, I'm really excited, I'm really juiced up about this, but how do I apply it to my life? Like, what do I do as I'm listening to this right now? What's step one, right? What's step 1, 2, 3? And I'll give you that quick takeaway, and that is very simply this. Step 1, draw this. Okay, draw this, literally draw it. And the reason is because there's something that happens, and research shows that you're 85% more likely to actually retain information when you write it down versus just hear it, goes through one ear, out the other. So if you were to draw this circle and put a dot there, I'd encourage you to do an exercise where you put people in your circle and write out their names. And I promise you'll be blown away to realize that you may have dozens of people, if not hundreds of people, that you really haven't been thinking about. And think about how many connections they may have, how many introductions they could make, how many opportunities they could open, how many of them have a dad or a sibling or a sister or some sort of significant other, right? Or something that can open up an opportunity for you that you wouldn't have access to if you're only kind of bumping around, walking around, hoping to run into, one of these big guys or gals or big shots or, people that you want to network with, so to speak. Billionaires, millionaires, thought leaders, experts, athletes, whoever you want to connect with has a mom, a brother, a sister, a videographer, an assistant, somebody close to them. Probably doesn't have that many followers, probably is accessible if you just shoot them a message. But if you never open up the possibility, you'll never even realize the potential that you have to connect with people. Now, once you know why to connect with people, the next question is, well, how do I, right? And very simply, I'll give you another story here and we'll wrap up. Is when I wanted to interview probably the wealthiest guest at this stage, it was, like I said, billionaire John Paul DeJoria. So let's say billionaire John Paul. I actually went out into the world and wanted to connect with him, and I still to this day have dream guests that I've wanted to interview, and I'm telling you, every single guest I've interviewed didn't come from me directly messaging them all the time. A lot of times it came from me just building a good rapport with the gatekeeper and trusting that that dot would connect to the next dot and connect to the next dot. Then once you meet one of them, they give you an intro with the next, right? Once I got in with Grant, I got a cool intro to Ed. Once I got in with Tom Bilyeu, the billion-dollar entrepreneur, he vouched for me and said that Omar is one of the best interviews he's ever had. And guys, I don't share this to impress you. I share it because it impresses me, and also to impress upon you what's possible if you kind of implement the strategy, kind of download it in your brain. Step 1, write this out, see what's possible. Step 2, actually ask yourself, who do you want to connect with? Imagine what would happen if your reticular activating system, your RAS, is very powerful at opening up opportunities based on the outcome you want. So step 2 is actually write out who is it that you want to connect with? Who is that dream client? Maybe you don't know their name, but maybe you know their characteristics. Maybe you know the budget. Maybe you know why you want to connect with them. Maybe you want to interview them on a show. Maybe you're a fan of their book. Maybe they're not even famous or well-known or entrepreneur. It doesn't matter the sport, or the sport or the business or the endeavor or the niche or whatever. The reality is this is possible no matter what. So like I said, step 2, write out who do you want to connect with? Because once you do that, you can deduce, okay, well, who else is in their circle? And now with the advent of social media, you can go check it out. You can go on LinkedIn and see who their assistant is, their executive assistant. You can go on Facebook, Instagram, you can find their videographer and message them and maybe work with them and then have them connect you, right? There's unlimited possibilities, okay? And then step 3 is I would actually encourage you to think about somebody that you're amazed you connected with. And I guarantee it, even if you say, wow, there's nobody that amazing, I promise you there is. And for the sake of the exercise, just do it with me, will you? Just kind of go and say, who's somebody I connected with that I didn't think I would be able to? And then trace back the web. How did you meet them? Did you just cold prospect message them? Probably not most of the time. You probably knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who introed you to that person. And now your next question, the final question after you have these 3 points is like, okay, well, Omar, this sounds like a lot of effort, but it doesn't really sound like it'll work. Try it. Try it. And I'm going to challenge you to actually try it because I promise you it will work. And again, I know I've been teasing you with this story, but here it is finally. So I went out into the world and I've adopted this mindset of like, okay, you know what? I want to have a powerful web of influence. I know about the 6 degrees of separation. I know about the power of cultivating productive relationships, but I want to do so elegantly, right? I want to go out into the world and like not be needy, not like, oh, I want to meet you, I want to meet you, I want to go here. I find most of the time with networking, no offense, but when I go to networking events, most of the people there want to meet other people. They don't necessarily always attract the type of people who are maybe the type of people you'd want to meet. Does that make sense? Meaning everybody sort of wants instead of being the type of people that people would want. I'll give you an example. Billionaires don't go to networking parties, right? They go to charity funds, right? They go to auctions. They go to, different causes that other people with these types of relationships could be at to open up opportunities. So long story short, I was at the gym one time and I had a personal trainer, right? So let's say this is me, this dot in the center here, and I had a personal trainer. Well, that personal trainer heard about what I was doing with the podcast. He was a fan of the show. And he said, man, who else would you like to interview? So I started rifling off this name and that name and this name and that name. And believe it or not, even though it was mind-blowing to me at the time, it wasn't a big deal to him that he actually had a connection with the billionaire John Paul. Well, how did that happen? Check this out. I talked to my trainer about the show. He asked me, who would you like to interview? I threw out a bunch of names. John Paul was one of them, and he goes, dude, you're kidding me. My mom actually knows someone who works with him. So my trainer introduced me to his mom. His mom introduced me to an assistant who works directly with Mr. DeJoria, and that assistant connected us with John Paul. And at this point in time, we've got almost 500,000 downloads on that interview, sharing his story about how he was homeless at 37 and how he built his whole company and from rock bottom. And not only that, from there, we're creating a bunch of new content with a ton of other people. And I've done this over and over again, whether it's a Manny Koshpin or whoever it is. I don't mean to name drop with you, but I really want to illustrate to you the power of exercising your web of influence and realizing that it's in effect whether you're conscious of it or not. Kind of like gravity, right? Kind of like me dropping this pen. Whether or not I agree with the philosophy, it'll drop. And whether or not you agree with this is in effect every single day, every minute of every hour for the rest of your life. So if you want to meet people, you got to realize you want to cultivate productive relationships. It starts with you cultivating a productive being so that when you go out into the world, all these little webs become a ripple effect of new possibilities. So become that person that's attractive, become that person that's giving, become that person of value, and I promise you'll have no problem living by the Jim Rohn philosophy of success not being something you pursue, but rather something you attract by the person you become. This philosophy has taken me from literally knowing zero to not only attracting amazing people to become friends, mentors, business partners, clients, but it's also gotten me to realize that human beings at their core actually care to connect. Because no matter how big you may think somebody is or how out of reach or how out of touch, they're a normal human being just like me and you, made of skin and bones, and they have people in their world the same way you have people in your world, and you can figure out how to mend those two together, well, you'll have no problem developing your own web of influence that can change your life. All right, guys, and that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, curiosities, be sure to comment that down below. And until next time, I want to encourage you guys to live strong, live with passion, and grow your web of influence. I think your life will be all the greater for it. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to smash that subscribe button right now, because every week we bring you the very best in personal development, insight, strategy, and mindset to take your life and your business to the next level. So make sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, and share it with a friend if you thought it was valuable. And also, don't forget, if you'd like to work with us further, there's 4 ways you can connect and even do business with us. Number 1, you can simply text our number here absolutely free and text your most pressing life or business question. And who knows, we may just give you a shout out and answer it on the show. So simply text this number for that. Number 2, if you're watching this and you're like, man, I would love to be interviewed on the show, whether it's via Zoom or in person, to share your own inspiring story, help grow your brand, well, now you have that opportunity and you can simply apply in the description below for that. Number 3, if you'd like me and my team to personally work with you to help your brand or your business and consult you over the course of several months to grow your brand online, you can also do that by simply applying in the description below, filling out a short questionnaire, and if our team thinks that you'd be a great fit, we may just reach out to connect with you and serve you in consulting there. And last but not least, number 4, if you've ever thought to yourself, man, I'm one of the passionate few and I want to start my own interview show the same way Omar has, whether you want to interview people via Zoom or in person, but maybe you got stuck because you wondered, man, would anybody even want to listen to me? Where do I start? Would I be any good at this? How could I get people's time to actually interview them and grow my show? Could I really grow my audience? Could I really monetize? Would this really be worth my time? Well, you're in luck, because not only is building a show the #1 way to build your brand online, but I'll dispel all of the confusion and complexity in that inside of my Passionate Few Academy in the description below. And if you click on that Passionate Few Academy in the description, I'll uncover some of the simple things that can untangle the webs of complexity and allow you to actually realize that A, people would love to be interviewed by you. B, it's actually a lot easier than you realize to interview people if you own the platform. And number 3, if you're gonna create content anyways, you might as well start by hosting your own platform sooner rather than later. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to enjoy the next one, and I'll see you either in the description below or in the next inspiring piece of content. I'll see you there.